This podcast represents the opinions of our hosts and guests. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. This podcast also does not establish a standard of care, doctor-patient, or client relationship. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on the podcast or website. And because each person is so unique, all listeners are encouraged to connect with counseling and medical professionals for assistance with their personal journey. All people, places, and scenarios mentioned in the podcast have been changed to protect the privacy of those involved.
Welcome to We're Not Fine. I'm Dr. Talia Jackson.
And I'm Doug Jensen. We thank you for listening every week to our deep and thought-provoking conversations about relationships.
Hey, all y'all.
Hello. Happy Tuesday morning.
That's
if you're listening
right.
Tuesday morning.
They are. Or Wednesday, probably.
Yeah, maybe. Although I have a lot of Tuesdayers.
Me too.
I'm going to call them Tuesdayers. Ruby Tuesdayers.
That's like real catchy.
Isn't it?
You guys.
There should be a song called Ruby Tuesday.
There really should. Maybe you should write it.
I'm pretty sure I should. Anyway, how are you today?
You know what? This is what we've decided that we need to talk about today because we always come bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but what makes us different than most other podcasts is that I really want to normalize that we're a hot mess some of the time. Emphasis on hot. Less
That's
on
fair.
mess. Mostly mess.
Okay, we'll go hot.
We're both kind of circling a drain right now.
We are indeed. You know, and it's interesting because when I think about this, there's multiple things that I think contribute to that for us. Like our studio, which we've been just rearranging and rearranging. Okay.
I'm sorry, love. Continue.
That's all right.
Why are we a hot mess?
Well, you know, I think there's a lot of variables, right? So I think it has to do with this experience by itself because we waited a little bit. One of our sound people who needed to come in today was at a festival, the Blue Ox Festival, which I know some people that will be listening have been to this weekend as well. But, you know, so he came late, and so we usually do a morning thing, and we come right from home.
Yeah.
And if we've slept well, we're good. If we haven't slept well, we're not good. And I think there's a little anxiety still before every recording day. So I think that's part of our hot, emphasis on hot.
Yeah, emphasis on hot mess.
Right? But everything else in our lives, whether it's our work, whether it's our interpersonal relationships, whether it's whatever it is, all of those things, as everybody knows, can really impact energy.
It
and
does.
like focus. And I have a little drama going on in my life right now, and it is draining.
It is. It like sucks the soul out of our bodies. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned before, and this is going to shock everyone because I'm 18 years old, but I think that my hormones are kicking my ass right now.
Tell me. Your ass hormones or your hormones?
I don't even know.
Don't even know where it's coming from.
I found myself this fabulous hormone specialist because insomnia has been destroying me. And I think I'm a woman of that certain age that has to deal with this crap and no one even talks about it. Early. It's early, I know.
Yeah, that seems odd.
Let's just say mid to late 40s. There's like a surprise waiting for you at the end of a tunnel, and it's literally a kick in the crotch.
At the end?
Literally and physically.
Tunnel and crotch. I have all kinds of metaphors that are going through my head.
So I think between the two of us, we're working with like 7 full brain cells.
Which that can also be good because our impromptu conversation can oftentimes be... I'm not going to say brilliant, but insightful and
fun,
raw.
Spicy?
It's raw. No, I don't know even
raw
spicy.
I'm
not
spicy
sure. I'm not sure
tuna.
I'd call it that. Yeah.
So
we did have sushi for lunch.
I'm figuring it out.
Yep.
As are you, but I think what I want to normalize is that like we're all just squirrels trying to get a nut. We haven't figured this all out.
Squirrels and nuts.
Like it's not like we're two people that are showing up to the table because we have it all figured out, wrapped in a bow. Life is great. We don't have any problems. We're crawling through the finish line here, but also this is what you got to do sometimes is just show up and normalize that we're human.
And not to get too far into this, but you know, you also need to figure out like what to do so that it doesn't persist.
Right.
Because we don't want this to be a chronic issue.
No.
And so the stuff that is very, very like in the moment needs to be addressed and kind of resolved and put in a box of some kind.
Yes.
However, this like stuff that you're going through hormonally in your crotch tunnel, is that what you call it? Is that what you said?
I think that's what the doctors call it.
I think so. Do you remember when we were in a meeting last week and I mentioned dark funnel and then the person we were talking to said dark tunnel?
Dark tunnel.
It was a good switch.
Yeah, that was really good stuff.
You could tell where her mind was at.
Yeah, a dark tunnel.
But
was it like vaginal? Is that what you were thinking?
No. I'm not sure. I don't even want to go there because there's lots of options. So,
there are lots of options.
This is what happens when we're tired. We're a little loose.
And also, we don't have a functional adult to like tap us on the shoulder and be like, hey guys, let's
We are
pivot.
adult. We are adult though.
Not today.
Not so much today. Which, again.
But we love you guys. And we are, even though we're miserable, this is still fun for us.
And we're kind of excited today because we're talking about what happens like when you read body language and you go on dates or you have experiences with people. Like I always think about how you kind of go to I'll sometimes maybe it's my incredible narcissism and arrogance that comes out.
Confidence.
But every once in a while when someone like gives me a double take, I'm like,
you're like, I know.
Oh, okay, I know what that means. I've been right a lot of times, but I'm not right other times. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. So
yes, then this episode is all about, it's sort of like, it's twofold, right? We've got a mailbag that you have that someone wrote in. Wait. And then we're going to talk about how to read people's body language on dates and how to make sure that you're showing up the way that you want to show up and not unintentionally closed off if you're wanting to be open.
Which is what we'll figure out as we talk about the various pieces of this puzzle. Right. We'll find out that there's so many ways that people do this differently based on their experience, anxiety, depression.
That's right.
Feeling as exhausted as both of us are today. So, Mailbag from Amber. Amber is the person we actually did talk to last week, but not this one.
Right.
A different Amber who talked about dark tunnels.
That's right.
And when I said it's actually dark funnel, she laughed so hard. I love Amber. It was a really fun meeting. So Amber writes in, can you sense when someone likes you just by the way they look at you? I'm a 30-year-old female. I think a family friend, a 30-year-old male, likes me by the way he looks at me. She writes, until last week, I haven't seen a family friend in years. We are both 30 years old and single. The thing is, I don't know if he likes me for sure. So here's what happened. I came home to visit my parents. He came over to pick up something from my brother. And just the way he was looking at me while we shook hands, it made my mind automatically say, this guy likes you a lot.
Because that's what Amber sounds like, sure.
That's her voice, actually. I actually called her. I called her and I said, can I give your voice?
She's a baritone.
This guy likes you a lot. I haven't been wrong yet when I have a hunch that someone likes me, but I'm afraid this might be the one time and I'll look like a fool. When we shook hands, he smiled and gazed deeply into my eyes. I got comments on that, Amber. It was so strange. Is that a normal thing that guys do? Oof. I don't like gender stereotypes, but we'll talk about that. He came over again yesterday and we talked by the door while he waited for my brother and he just kept looking me straight in the eyes. Maybe I'm reading into it and he always stares girls in the eyes when he talks to them. But I just get this feeling, it's like in the air when we're talking, that he likes me as more than just a friend. So my question is, what do you think of the situation? Is it possible to get the intuition that someone likes you just by the way they look at you? Is there such a thing as that? What should I do? Just wait for him to ask me out? He's shy and I'm shy, so it's not going to be easy.
It's like the sweetest thing. And
this guy likes you a lot.
This guy that sounds like
you were
your
even deeper
voice.
Than I was.
Hello.
Hello.
We wanted to address Amber's question. We literally came up with an entire episode devoted to body language.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Amber really quick because I know we both have feelings.
I do have feelings.
I feel like I trust your intuition. I really do. And I think that if he's looking deeply into your eyes, it does mean something unless you have pink eye. No,
or
for real.
Better known as conjunctivitis.
Is that what it's called?
That's yeah. It is.
But unless there's something really kind of embarrassing happening that he isn't telling you about, I would say if you've never really thought about him that way and all of a sudden there's something about the way he's gazing into your eyes or maybe lingering and shaking your hand, I'd say there's something there. Go for it.
I'm looking at you and I am gazing into your eyes.
Is it because of my conjunctivitis?
Are you saying, this guy likes me a lot?
No, I
are you
was
saying?
saying that he's finally looking at me now that we're together in the same room and you're not looking off into the great beyond. So
Oh.
I'm happy. I already
Yeah.
know you love me, even though you
I do love
look
you.
away sometimes.
I
Not
don't.
anymore.
Yeah, not so much.
And now we can't even like see ourselves, and so there's nothing
I know.
even to look at.
Well, that's probably good. So I have several comments about this. One is
Yes.
I do not like gender stereotypes, and I'm going to start with that again because
Yeah.
I think it's okay for a woman to approach a man, just as I think it is for a man to approach a man to approach a woman to approach a woman, and non-binary people to approach either of them as well. I think there's a part of this where this intuition that there's something. I'm going to just go a little bit on some clients that I've worked with, and I'm going to pick the autistic spectrum.
Okay.
And I've had some clients just stare at me during the appointments.
In
And
sort of like an uncomfortable, not
in an
reading the room
uncomfortable,
kind of
socially
way.
anxiety,
Yeah.
a little social discomfort.
Yeah.
And just kind of, and I can tell they're processing, and I'll even ask, like, what are you thinking? And they're like, I'm just kind of taking it in.
Yeah.
And so some people look at things and process. This does not sound like that, though.
This
doesn't
sounds
s-
intentional.
This
Or
sounds
like
intentional.
or not even intentional, like like I can't help myself.
And Amber, if he was on a desert island for like 10 years, and you were the first human being he saw, and he just needed to stare, do you like how far-fetched I was about that?
Well, it's the same as like if
We
you
have-
have pink eye.
if you have...
There are other alternatives.
Conjunctivitis.
These are the alternatives to him actually liking you and you having good intuition. He just got out of jail.
Right, free.
You have pink eye.
Yeah.
He's been on a desert island.
Like Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only other thing that he's had to gaze on was a volleyball.
A volleyball named whatever. I can't remember.
But other than that,
Yeah, I know. So
Wilson.
there's a lot. Oh, you remembered Wilson. Of course, that's what the name of the volleyball company is. This is what I would say about this too, Amber. I think that, of course, if you are interested in equally to him, of course, I encourage you to say, you know, I'm kind of sensing there's something between us. I just want to check that out. And have no fear.
yeah.
Because one of the things that I think about life is it is such a waste of time to not go after what it is that you
Right.
want and to not take risks.
And that's always the greater regret.
It is always the
Then-
greater regret than checking it out. Yep.
And then being wrong.
Yep. And if you're wrong, you're wrong.
That's right.
And you also can call back and write us again and say, I think that he still loves me even though he says that he does not. So we'll figure that out too. So staring straight in the eye, as we're going to talk a little bit about, is one of the ways that we know that people are interested in us.
That's right.
Because they pay attention. Like I will oftentimes, like if I'm on a date, which we'll get to, I feel like if somebody's really looking at me,
Yeah.
I can sometimes tell that they're not hearing me. They're more assessing my appearance and whether there's chemistry. Like every once in a while they'll look down at my chest or they'll look at my lips
That's
or they'll
right.
look at something and I'm like, okay, I know what you're
That's
looking
right.
at. So
Funny
yeah.
story.
Tell me about that.
283 years ago when I went on my first date with Rob.
Yeah.
So I was 20 and he
You were
was 24.
dinosaurs.
There were
Sours, yeah.
dinosaurs roaming the earth.
For sure.
I remember specifically that we had our first date and I ended up like I was living at home. It was in college and
Right.
I was living with my mom and she was like, well, how did it go? Tell me everything. And I was literally like, I don't remember. Does he have any brothers, sisters? I don't remember. I was so infatuated with him and I don't think I blinked once. And I didn't hear a word that came out of his mouth. Plus he had a really thick southern accent, so maybe I just got lost in his eyes. But I literally, yes, I was just watching him.
Yep.
And that was all that mattered to me on that first date. I
Yep.
don't remember what he did for work, where he was from, siblings, nothing. Didn't matter.
So what happened next for you and Rob? Did he call you after and say, let's go on a second? And you were like, all I remember is what you look like?
Yeah, kind of. He ended up, there were no actual cell phones, right? So he like called me up on my landline. And
With a rotary phone.
and no, there was no like, what is it, a voicemail answering service, whatever, answering machine?
There was answering machines.
Yeah,
probably.
I think I had an answering machine. You could tell. This is where you could tell that we have 3 brain cells right now. But he was like, do you want to go on a walk around the lake? And I said, yeah, I would love to. And we did. And that's when I started to be able to, I think, calm my nervous system enough to actually listen to the words coming out of his mouth.
The other thing, which you reference, like calming your nervous system. So being present and in the room and being thoughtful and really listening is a really important thing. I remember I was on a date with someone, maybe it's, got to be 10 years ago now. And all he did was talk about himself. And I almost started laughing at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because I'm a direct person. And so if I'm on a date, I just am very much to the point. Like, let's talk about how this feels. Let's talk about, and I'm someone who thinks you should ask anything and everything. So I think no secrecy and just total transparency. Like, just tell the other person, right? And I realized that, and one of the things that I'll talk about in this, and when we talk about like facial expression, which is the first of the things we're going to talk about. I was on a date with this guy, and I was on a dating rampage after leaving a relationship probably 20 some years ago. And I remember the guy looked at me and goes, "You're not into me, are you?" And I said, "I'm not."
But I love that.
It was
awareness.
good. It was good, except I started feeling like I was a bit of an asshole because I was obviously not showing any interest in him, and I did not. I can remember exactly where we were at the restaurant called Asia on Nicollet that no longer exists, which I went on every date to. Did you go there? I loved it.
Our first date 285 years ago was at Sawat D, also downtown.
Yeah,
it was like the original. I love your date story because that is about reading someone else's body language, and he actually did a good job. And
he did a good job.
It's hard to just come out with it and just be like, "I'm not into you. I know it's been 5 minutes, but bye."
I did not struggle with it at that point.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I'm really not. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
And I'm a very big chemistry person because I wrote the 4 C's: chemistry, communication, compromise, and commitment.
That's right.
I am so big on knowing, like, sight, smell, taste, feel, touch. It should be all of those things that you kind of monitor in terms of what it is that you're drawn to and what your chemistry is about. So I remember looking at him thinking, this is not it. I don't want to kiss you.
Right.
I have had people say I didn't initially want to kiss somebody, and then later it came, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's something then that you were assessing instead of that, because I really believe in that chemistry being...
Like the sapiosexual vibe where like at first you're not really my type, but the more I get to know you, you are brilliant and funny, and I love the way your brain works.
In a sapiosexual way.
That's right. But this episode is all about the chemistry and how to read if it's there or not there, and how to show up the way that you want to show up. So facial expressions.
Let's go.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I feel like enough said. If someone is into you, their facial expression will be like open and joyful, and their eye contact is going to be intense and really into every word.
But here's the only thing I think about that.
Social anxiety.
Social anxiety, fatigue.
Yeah.
Like, I've been also on dates that I will agree to go on, and it'll be like, I am exhausted. I've had a long day. And so I find myself sometimes thinking, I'm a little tired, so I'm guessing my eyes are a little droopy, and I'm not quite as energetic or enthusiastic. However, if the dude is hot...
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
I know, if the dude is hot, I'm going to be like,
that cuts through any kind of fatigue.
And by the way, I typically let somebody know right away.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in, like, holding back, so I'm like, you are so good looking, or you're really hot.
So basically, if you're not saying that, someone should know. I love
if you go on a date with me in the future, anybody, and I don't say that, do not be alarmed. You can ask me and I'll tell you the truth, by the way. So
with eye contact, though, some people might be really into you and they have a hard time with eye contact because they're socially anxious. And I've even noticed that in situations where I might be like really into someone, I can't look at them for long. I get real twitchy. So I don't know if sustained eye contact is the only way. Also, maybe if their eyes are darting around and they're looking at their feet, maybe they can be into you still.
Well, the other thing, Talia, and I'm going to use us in our profession specifically. So one of the things I've noticed is that we do this all day long.
Yeah.
And so when I go on a date with someone, I'll be like really intensely looking at them like I do my clients that I'm working with. And so I think I look, they're like, what are you looking at? I'm like... And I've heard so many people say, you're looking right through me. And I'm like, yes, I am. Because, you don't shut off a therapist thing after 28 years. It doesn't work. I do not.
I literally, if someone is not paying me, I don't do that in my free time.
I do it all the time.
Like, it's total party, like cocktail party killer when people are like, Oh my God.
I'm going to come to your cocktail party at your house, and I'm going to say, I'd like to do a group therapy session. So I'm wondering if anybody wants to participate.
No,
and then
I
we're going
need
sit in
to
your
be
living room.
like sharp and on it. It's like I am in work mode. But if I'm just like having a glass of wine.
Okay, come on.
And if someone's like, are you analyzing me? Absolutely not.
And I'll say, absolutely, I am. So here's the deal.
Well, no
though.
wonder you're so fatigued.
Maybe. Talia, the other thing about this, though, is if you were dating now,
Yeah.
after all these years, I think you'd be like,
You're right.
that kind of flags me.
No,
and
I would be
I heard that,
analyzing
and
every first date. You're not wrong.
personality disorders would just be like
Oh, God.
spinning around,
You're
right?
right. Is that what we're talking about, dating? I thought it was a different episode. Just kidding. JK. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Rolling. I think so. And so when I'm on a date, I can't stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't stop even with friends.
See, I stop with friends unless they're talking about their lovers or parents or other friends. Then I can be like, oh, personality disorder. Oh,
Well,
blah,
Talia,
blah, blah.
yeah, here's the thing, though. Like, when we talk on the phone,
Yeah.
you and I know right away where the other person is at.
Yeah.
You were in a really great mood yesterday. That's a joke.
Yeah. Was that sarcasm?
That was sarcasm.
I was so exhausted and ragey and contemptuous.
and kind of making things up. Like,
Yeah.
should we
I was not
record at the lake?
fit for like public consumption. That's what I was telling Rob all day yesterday. I'm like, don't look at me. I'm so tired. I hate you. I'll love you again tomorrow.
I hate you, don't leave me. Okay.
Yeah.
A little borderline yesterday, maybe. You
No.
really weren't.
No,
it's
it was just
really
fatigue.
like combination ADHD, fatigue. Because you were saying things to me, and I'm like, and I remember saying to you, I'm not sure if this is fatigue or if I should be really taking what you say seriously.
I know. I'm like, maybe just like go jump off a cliff. That'll end it. JK.
Yeah, that was kind of it. I was over
just
by
really
the St.
struggling.
Croix River. I was on the beach, and you were like, yeah, it was kind of interesting. So,
But we're back.
we are back. So eye contact. And eye contact means several things. So it could mean that you are, and I have clients who I think are very analytical. Like, they've been in therapy long enough with me, and they really have those skills to like, I'm just going to look and observe and understand and take it
Yeah.
all in and not feel like I need to react and not be worried about
I love that.
silence or whatnot. I
Like
love
they're
it too.
not self-conscious.
They're not self-conscious.
They're just
and
in their experience watching you while processing.
so I don't think eye contact, I want to just maybe conclude this part by saying, I don't know that eye contact necessarily means interest, like sexually or chemistry wise. I think it can mean interest, though. I
Yeah.
think it does mean interest.
That's right, but which
So-
is great. Like it's interest for sure, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are sexually interested. But it's a much better sign when somebody can't look at you enough, can't get enough of you,
Yeah.
rather than
Right.
like, I am someone who cannot fake being interested, and if I'm not interested, I glaze over
Yeah.
a little bit.
Okay.
So there's that.
Really? Do you glaze over?
Only in like
Like, you're looking at me now and you're kind of glazed over and not interested in what I'm saying? You're really not, though.
That's
you're very
more
interested.
of my eyes won't focus
Adoration?
because I've had like 10 hours of sleep in 2 weeks.
I got you.
But I love you and I do
know.
care. I'm listening, but I don't know
I
if
know.
I'm hearing.
So let's go to smile.
Yeah.
So there's this general sense, like, I can't even remember the song, and I feel like I want to sing a song about smile when your heart, whatever. I don't even know what that song is. Do you not?
Sings, jumps.
Oh, no, you don't know
Is
the
it a
song.
show
Okay.
tune?
I might be a show tune. I've been known to rattle those off spontaneously. But you know, the interesting thing about a smile is it does show interest. It does show pleasantry. It does show, like, you're not offended by something. There's not a grimace.
That's right.
And so a smile can be a way of showing, but you know, I also find it awkward necessarily. Like, I'm not going to smile the whole time somebody's talking
Right.
because that feels silly too.
So I think that this particular smile that you're looking for to see if someone's into you or not into you
Has a tongue
is
sticking out of it.
or like hanging down the side of your face like a bulldog. No, this is what's different. Is like there's a cordial smile, but then there's a like I am delighted by you. Like you're actually genuinely making me laugh like I can't hold back. It's so fun. I feel like you can tell if there's like a natural, like, I think you're funny. I'm into you. I like what you're saying rather than just like kind of a more pleasantry, you know, a smile while listening.
Yeah, if someone was smiling at me the whole time I was talking, I'd be, especially with their lips wide open and their mouth wide open, I'd be like, I'm out of here because you are creepy and I'm not interested in seeing that ever again.
Oh my God.
Morning, afternoon, or evening.
I just thought of this really funny thing. So, like, Rob's best friend growing up,
Yep.
he was the best. I'm not going to name him. Yeah. Hey, Dave.
his name?
Highly doubt that he's listening or watching. But he was so funny and not self-aware in, like, the way that his face looked. And so when he was really into a woman, he would, like, stand across the bar, and it was like a serial killer. It would be like...
So I was recently at a bar with a buddy, and what I did not know is the server had gone on an app and figured out who I was.
Yeah, I love that story.
It's a really fun story, actually. And this was just like last week, right? So, and then contacted me the next day on this app and said it was nice serving you, and then we just kind of chatted for a while. But it was kind of interesting to me because I now look back at what he was doing during the interaction and the serving, and I think he touched my arm at one point when I gave the bill to him with the charge card.
Now we're talking.
A little bit, although it took a few days to say I'm definitely interested. So it was kind of an interesting thing.
But that's also like he was showing you that he was interested without the words, and maybe he felt like he put himself out there enough and maybe wasn't getting enough reciprocation.
I think that's possible because I was not showing any sort of, I was not taking down my guard at all. I was kind of waiting because I didn't quite understand what was happening.
And maybe that's a little like our dear Amber. That's just like, I don't even know if I should make a move or not because I can't read the
So here's the deal. What I planned on doing, because the bar is not far from me, and a buddy of mine and I go walking regularly. And so, we might go back there. And so... Yeah. That might happen again. I was actually I know.
But you don't have to wait for that. If
I don't have to wait. And then he got really assertive about it.
See? That's
Which was
hot.
very, very sweet, and it was hot. It was confident and hot. Like, just so you know, we're going to do this whether you want to or not. That was kind of a funny thing that he said. So anyway, the smile thing, yeah. But I also want to say something else. I think one of the things that draws me is when I'm talking with someone that I'm interested in and they show us a small smile, just like of approval and connection, and I heard what you said, and I feel the same way. Like, that's a lovely thing. And I realize
like
that if I'm flirting, I will definitely look over and actually I'll stare a little bit, and then I'll probably smile a little bit. Not big, though, not creepy. And I won't be a sociopath.
Show me right now.
Is that inviting?
I feel like they would need to be hospitalized.
That I would need to be hospitalized, or they would.
It's like I would feel like
it's like an American Horror Story. My dentures. What did you?
I feel like if someone did that, their dentures would fall out. Oh my God.
I think that's possible.
Yeah, Doug. I think
so
we
would
need
that
some
work?
coaching. That's like, no,
that's why my clients can't date, because that's what I show them to do. Open your mouth like a creepy clown.
Oh my God. I'm dying right now. I'm dying. Yeah. I feel like maybe you need to pivot.
You can barely get that out. Correct. You really wanted to say, I hope you should pivot. Okay.
Okay. Okay, next.
Are we moving on? Do you want me to do that again?
The lean in. Oh God, please don't ever do that again. It makes me feel unsafe. Oh my God.
We're in a
Do I have a tissue anywhere?
We're in a closed...
I'm crying.
The tissues are somewhere in this room.
Closed. Oh my God.
We're back. Okay, next.
The lean in. Oh God, just stop it.
All right, I'll stop.
So creepy. I'm not looking
it's
at
kind
you.
of creepy. It's creepy clown
God.
for sure.
Okay, basically the lean in is universal. Yes, like if someone is into you, their body language is going to be more of a lean in than a lean out. Just pay attention to that. So if you're talking, if someone's like standing a little close, sitting a little close, but if someone is just like leaning back or leaning away, not as good of a sign, I'd say.
I don't know. I know how to make you laugh though during the podcast now.
I didn't even know we were capable of laughing today. That was really
I know.
good
Now our
stuff.
endorphins are going though. That's good. I'm sweating a little bit.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I struggle with universal stuff. We all know that leaning in looks like you're interested, right? But during my therapy, I don't listen. I'm not doing this. Although during
we're
the
talking
Zoom
about dating.
I know. Well, okay.
Okay, no, you're right. Like, what do we look like when we are interested or showing up as someone who wants
So if I was
to look interested?
if I was at a booth, for example.
A booth? Oh, a booth.
Yeah, like
at a restaurant.
What did I say? Booth?
I'm not sure what you said.
I'm going to smile again at any time.
Don't.
So if I'm at a booth, I'm probably sitting just normal. I'm not leaning forward. Unless, I would lean forward periodically.
If I'm into you, I am crawling across the table. I just went on a date with one of my eldest's best friend's moms.
Yeah.
And it was just, the boys thought we'd really get along. And I was so tired and even just not even sure that I could handle it. And meeting new people, I don't know. I had so much fun.
Yep.
Couldn't get close enough. I was crawling across the table.
Yeah.
So into her. We
Yep.
had the best time. And my body language, I think, was just I think we even squeezed hands
Yep.
8 times. I don't know, just saying.
Yeah, it's interesting, which, we're going to go into touch next as well. Because
Yes, we
it's as you talk about this hand holding.
Yeah, but you kind of did something squeezy. It wasn't
Well, kind of. And that can be another form of touch.
oh, well.
So I did joke with the server that we were, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So, I don't know, Talia. I mean, I agree with that. There's lots of different ways.
Accidental touch.
I'm not accidental. Let's go to touch.
Okay.
Because I'm someone who touches. If I meet someone, I'm like, thank you so much.
Even if you are repulsed and horrified?
Ooh, gosh. What a question that is. My smile did to you?
Oh my God. What about not even repulsed and horrified, but just neutral, but not that interested?
So I'm going to go multiple avenues with this. If I'm on a date, and again, I don't think this is gender specific, although I think women generally will feel less comfortable touching due to size and safety and how men sometimes treat women. I think there's a lot of different safety factors that people have, as well as touch can be harmful to people who have had bad touch in their lives in an abusive sort of way. So this is what I think about it. I am a toucher. And so if I am grateful to somebody, if I am thankful to somebody, and this recently got misinterpreted in my life. I actually touched somebody and I said, I really am so grateful for this.
Wait, can we talk about that? That was so weird.
I don't want to talk about that because I think that person might be listening. So it was very strange, but I was really grateful for this experience. I touched the person and they said, oh, I thought you were gay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am. What?
I'm just grateful to you for this kind of thing.
So my touch was viewed as sexual and advanced, right? And it was not.
I think it's a really good example. It's
a good example, and I touch a lot, and I'm also a huggy person.
Yeah.
And so, I will tell you that if we go on a date and I hug you afterwards,
who are you talking to right now?
All of our audience members. Anybody
if he goes on a date with you.
If I go on a date with any of you listening at any point, which I will actually, because someone I'm going on a date with just started watching the podcast today.
And I heard his voice, and it was
you did hear his
really
voice.
Sexy.
I'm sorry, I played your.
Deep.
If you're listening, I played your voice to her because it was very sexy in the morning. It was a really nice. By the way, talk about chemistry.
Yeah.
I played it though, and you were like, "Oh,
wow, wow." He did not sound like this.
No.
Okay, moving on. You were lingering and thinking and
I was kind of thinking, but I want to go to touch because if I hug you after a date, and I think this is common for most people, you are interested, right?
Yeah.
And then how long the hug is and how embracing it is and how secure it is. I'm a tight hugger, I think.
What a good point. If someone shakes your hand after a date,
oof,
that's as good as goodbye.
I think it's goodbye. It would be for me. I would not even be drawn to that behavior. It was kind of funny. Our previous guest, Angela, who did the ethical non-monogamy and polyamorous relationship seminars.
Didn't you love her?
Yeah,
They've listened to both
amazing.
by now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we kind of just zoned
so
out
great.
in that, you are so wise.
I know.
But I gave her a hug when she walked in, and she goes, you are a good hugger. I'm like, yes,
It made me feel competitive, I'm not going to lie. And then I gave her an even better hug.
But she said yours was much less effective.
She didn't say anything.
She did. Yeah, she... Oh,
I know.
We'll talk about that. I'll teach you how to hug.
did.
I'll teach you how to hug.
Are you kidding me right now? I'm like literally the best hugger ever.
Oh, well, I don't think Angela thought so. So...
Okay, it's on.
And let's go for touch. So there's other pieces. If somebody has like their hands on the table,
Yeah.
I might actually put my hand on theirs.
Yeah, that's
also,
what I
if I'm
did with my
interested.
new BFF.
So it shows that you like that
Yeah.
person. It shows that you're getting toward them. Again, one of my touches, I probably touch all the time. I touch servers, I touch people. I have touched my clients with clear permission and desire, like they've requested it. Because I do occasional hugs with people who would like one. And that's totally fine.
There's like a right time and a right
There
place
is.
initiated by them.
And that's also not a date.
That's also
right?
not a date. And it's also like a show of caring.
It is 100%.
Yeah.
And I think when you do this long enough, you know where those boundaries are and you know when
And who.
when and not.
And that's right.
And all that sort of thing. I think there's a part of that touch thing, and I value it so much. Because this even goes back a little bit to love languages on a mild scale, I think. So I like someone who touches me. If they touch me, if they hold my back on the way out, I'm drawn in, for sure. If they hold my hand, woo, I'm done. I'm done.
You know
for
what?
That,
That is very interesting and wise, that because your love language is touch and that is how you feel loved,
Yep.
you have more of a tendency to touch to show interest, attention, affection.
100%. Yep.
Whereas I feel like I would not ever touch a server unless I wanted to sleep with them.
Okay.
Next one. Hair play.
Hair play. Well, let's talk about that, shall we?
Is that just maybe my experience is absolutely 100%. I think that many humans of every gender with hair tend to touch their hair. Like, they tend to touch their hair when they're like trying to be a little sexier.
Yeah.
And if they're into you, they are going to touch their hair. Men, women, non-binary. Correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, but I think that if you're actually kind of like touching your face, your hair, your décolletage, anything.
Like
Your
sticking your finger in your mouth
lapel.
and sucking it.
Or just like picking some.
Yeah, like you
Shrimp
told me I had
tails out of your
something,
teeth.
something
Yeah.
red on my teeth.
You did.
So for those of you who do not watch the YouTube, I have a shaved head. But I will tell you, I play with my goatee sometimes.
If you're into someone.
No, I just play with it anyway. I don't think there's any particular interest. It's kind of a preoccupation or thoughtfulness, and right now I cut it a little bit shorter yesterday.
Yeah, looks great.
Thank you.
I like it.
I've been growing it a little bit longer,
Oh.
and I kind of like that ability to do that, right? So,
Can you not go into ZZ Top?
Oh,
Like, don't lean in too hard to that.
well,
Don't do it. I'm just telling you. If I can braid it, it's not sexy.
Oh.
Maybe for
I don't think you
for
could
some
braid
would
it,
be.
but hair play, I suppose. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very proverbial type of comment about like women who spin their hair or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, but I have an immediate response to that because that feels a little. I'm not sure the word I want to use here.
And I know that you're very sensitive to having it be gendered, which I completely appreciate. But
I don't know if dudes finger their hair.
I think they'll like rustle and ruffle. And maybe this isn't gendered as much as it is. I see it a lot.
This is also a very interesting thing,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna generalize this either. I really struggle with generalizations of any kind, but the gay community tends to be like, let's do this, right? Like, we don't have a lot of time to beat around the bush.
Like a little bit more proactive.
So it's
and
interesting.
direct.
Someone will touch my head if they want to.
Oh.
Absolutely, I've had so many people touch my head. And so it's kind of an interesting thing when you have a shaved head that people will definitely want to feel it.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
interesting.
call me the Rock, or call me...
Do you like that?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
If it's uninvited?
So, here, going back to touch,
Yeah. Do the servers do
Rub
that
my
to you?
head?
Do you like rub their buns and they rub your head for every
well, I'm going to
meal that you
disclose
order?
that, this guy who was a server who approached me on this app, I did say, so am I allowed to harass you? And he said, as long as I can do it back. Like a really beautiful little
I
playfulness.
kind of like the consensual
it's so
check-in.
good.
It's cute.
Yeah,
I
so
like it.
I'll get back there.
Yeah.
Okay, hair play. What do we got next? Crossed arms.
Yeah.
It says, is a bad sign. And I want to go to crossed arms. So yes, I mean, if you're doing this, in therapy school, we learn that's a body language that kind of cuts people off, right? Like any barrier, like a table or a coffee table. I have a very low coffee table in my office because people do want to eat candy, but they also want to put their beverages because I have a lot of beverage options. So I have a lower table, though, that doesn't interfere with the back and forth, and there's no barrier. But I sometimes will lean back and say, or especially if I'm at home and I'm doing a telehealth, I'll do this. And it's just kind of a natural thing. Like, it's a comfortable thing for me. It doesn't mean that I'm closed off. It means that I'm deep in thought. Like, okay, I'm going to ponder that.
So maybe if all of the rest of your body language is showing that you're, like, if you're saying, and you're deep in thought, but also you're crossing your arms. Then that's not just the crossed arms. I will also say that, crossed arms in general, it is more closed off. It's self-protective.
It is. That's true.
But that could also be social anxiety, discomfort, trauma. I mean, there are so many reasons why someone might not immediately show up with really open body language, but it's definitely, maybe we don't say it's a bad sign. Maybe we say it's just not a good sign and also this entire episode, it's not just how to know if they're into you. It's so that you can check in to be like, do I do any of these things? How do I show up now?
Or how do I
become
conscious? Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do I become conscious of these things?
And make sure that I am easier to read.
Let me also say that, we're talking a lot, like I will talk a lot about, just like I did about crossing arms during a therapy session.
Yeah.
It is different than a date. If I'm on a date and I'm like, the guy is telling me about his childhood or something like this, which gets into that therapy realm, unfortunately, because of how I ask questions during a date, people will oftentimes be like, this feels like a therapy session. I'm like, oh, I'm out.
You're like, I can't help it.
So if I'm doing this during a date, though, it is closed off. It is, unless I'm cold, in which case I might honor that. I might say, so I'm a little cold, so I'm just going to bundle,
Oh, like physically cold, like temperature
cold. Yeah, like physically cold. So you're like, close off. I don't know.
Yeah. So maybe we'll go with, it's not necessarily a good sign, but there are other possibilities other than they're not into.
That's what I would say about all of these categories. Nothing can be assumed entirely. Even going back to Amber and the eye contact, I would say Amber. The other thing I want to say to Amber, by the way, that I didn't say at the beginning was I think she should check it out with her brother. Like, they're good friends, right? If I remember right. And so why not go to your brother and say, you know what?
Oh, God, yes.
I just kind of want to check this out. Like, I feel like he's looking at me.
Yes.
How would that be for you? Because the other thing that I think is important is that she check in with him and say, is it okay that I pursue this with your friend?
Oh, yes.
Because it can become awkward if it doesn't go well.
But I love the idea of maybe even if you are worried or not wanting to make that big first move, to just be like, hey, bruh, can you check in about this? Because I felt some vibes, but I don't want to shoot my shot unless there's a good chance.
That's right.
Next one is walking. So a couple things here. So basically what you're looking for is this
ableist. Keep going. I'm sorry.
How about if we're talking about stride, like side by side, or are they ahead of you? Are they behind you?
Thank you for your correction.
Do they? No, you're right. Sometimes I don't think about it, and I always want to pivot.
Okay.
But if there's somebody that is moving ahead of you, and you're walking around the lake, or this is so Minnesotan, walking around the lake, or you're walking to a restaurant or moving together in some way and they are always ahead of you, that's not usually a good sign. I would say even, I might go as far as there might be some narcissism there, or there might be, I know this is like being real therapist-y, but that there might be something a little bit symbolic of like, let me get ahead of you, unless they're just going to open a door for you. That's a different story, I'd say. But if they're walking behind you really slowly, I might say that that's not a really good sign either. Maybe they're like dragging their feet, not really into it, wishing they could turn around and run for the hills.
Checking out your butt.
Oh, unless they're checking out your butt. Unless you have a piece of toilet paper stuck
to your shoe? Please say shoe.
In your underwear, trailing down your shorts. or conjunctivitis.
What would you do in that situation? Would you let the person know? Because I would.
Which part? The toilet paper?
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Like you did my teeth today.
For sure.
Those.
Stop doing that.
I found a reason to open my mouth.
It's literally like it. It's like the
Oh,
it
I love
clown.
that.
Pennywise.
It does feel...
So creepy.
Okay, so the walking thing is an interesting thing. Again, no generalizations. Although if I'm allowed to walk ahead of somebody, they're walking behind me, I'll be like, "What are you looking at?"
And if they say I'm looking at your butt, I'd say that's cute. But then they better hustle and
No,
keep
I would
pace.
say then stay behind me.
Actually, I don't know if it's cute. I retract it. Read the room. I don't know the date that you're on, but if
That's fair, yeah.
I would say don't.
Because it's a little objectifying to some
Don't do it.
people. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Be
I take it back.
respectful and then say,
Yeah. Read the room, see if there's chemistry there on the way back to the Uber. If that's happening and there's chemistry, then you could say it.
Okay, all right. So the next category is about eyebrows. And the thing that I'm struck by about eyebrows, like you're doing right now, up and down, Groucho Marx.
We both have really good eyebrows. We have to
Do we?
admit.
I've got
Yeah.
some gray coming into mine.
That doesn't make them not great.
Oh, okay. So what I think about this is like, there's this general sense, like, what do eyebrows mean? If they're up,
Yeah.
are you surprised? Are you shocked? Are you offended? Because I raise my eyebrows when I'm offended. Like, are you fucking kidding?
Yeah,
Like
but
I'm-
that face, like if I'm
With my
reading
face,
your
yeah.
face
Yeah.
and not just your eyebrows. So the person is going to look really into you and their eyebrows are going to, I don't know, mimic their interest.
I think that's possible. I also
You're
like
not buying what I'm saying right now, are you?
when the one eyebrow, because I can't do it, when one eyebrow goes up,
Yeah.
I
Quizzically.
think that's kind of sexy, right?
But not everyone can do that.
I can't do it, I don't think.
Or you know how you're really good at the exceptions? Botox.
Okay.
Don't be offended if someone is not flashing their eyebrows at you.
Well, and then let's go for the other way. Like if they're not up and surprised or shocked or interested, and I think that's, I don't know, I don't do that when I'm interested. However, if my eyebrows are like,
Yeah, he
right?
doesn't like you. He's not into you.
I'm not sure that that's the case. I'm more like,
Serious.
tell me more.
Oh, okay. Okay,
That's what I would do.
Show me what tell me more looks like without saying tell me more. Oh God, help me!
So
I think you need to go out and
Did you
dance with
say-
a mirror. Be like, before I make this face that I'm trying
All right.
to intentionally
Hold
show.
on.
Okay.
Did you say, how do I show interest without showing it?
No,
Without saying
how do
it?
you say tell me more without saying the words? Show me with your.
That's what I might do.
Okay.
I would probably lean back. I mean, I'm not a big eyebrow person. I think that's like weird to go up and down.
Okay, show me tell me more.
No, I'm kidding.
Every time it's getting less creepy.
I think I just look intensely at someone. I don't
Yeah.
think my eyebrows move.
Okay. Yeah, that's very expressive. You have a very expressive face, but I will
Thank
say
you.
I can't tell if you like
Think
me or
you're
hate
crazy?
me. Yeah.
Or,
But
and Talia, that's a
Yeah.
very good point. I'm going to touch you. That's an interesting point because what I do
Yeah.
is I think I am not readable very easily.
yeah, cuz you know what? I feel like you are kind of not, I don't want to say glaring, but the look that you have on your face is
Is
either
intense.
it's
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
You're definitely listening intensely.
Always, yeah.
But it's
All my
not
clients know that.
particularly open and friendly.
One of my favorite psychiatrists, thank you, Paul, tells clients when he refers, like, if you want someone to just nod and say, oh, that's really hard.
I'm not your guy.
No, he says, go somewhere else. If you want to get better, go see Doug.
Oh yeah.
And so he scares these people, but literally I am like,
Right.
I am just like reading every possible thing I can from people's verbal and nonverbal.
And that's why they pay you the big bucks.
That is, I guess, true. So
Yeah.
I don't know about eyebrows. This is a tough one because eyebrows can mean so many things. I'm aware that when Asperger's was actually a diagnosis, there
Yeah.
was a book that I got from our mutual friend Kim. It was literally like, if a person's eyebrows are raised, they are surprised. And I'm like, not always. Like, I just think there's a lot
yeah.
of, but, and yet at the
It's
same time,
nuanced.
it's nuanced, but it's also some generalized.
But what you're saying is if someone were to like read a book on what different facial expressions mean,
Yep.
it's so nuanced. But if you've
I
got
think
to
it's very
start
nuanced.
somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Just a few more that are kind of juicy. It's feet. Have you ever heard of this? That if someone has their feet pointed towards you, they're into you, and if they're pointed away, they're not into you? He's into me.
I actually have one both ways, as do you.
No, they're both pointed at me.
Okay.
Look at that proof.
Yeah.
He wants me.
I do.
So I don't know. Is it true? Is it not? I'm not sure. I feel like we need a survey, but I am going to start paying attention.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily true because, it's where you're seated and what you're comfortable with. Like, there's going to be situations where someone's feet don't touch the bottom of the table and they're probably directly...
You're my height?
They're always going to be forward.
In a booster seat?
Yeah, if you're in a booster seat and you're like 40 years old,
if you're
like my younger child is always...
If you're under 40.
At 4'10", my younger's always going to have their feet dangling.
That's real.
So, for sure. I am, however, not. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of different ways. I don't think that's true. I don't find myself drawn or not drawn to someone based on my feet approach.
I bet you haven't even noticed what your feet are doing. I bet that if I followed you on this date that you're going to go on, and I took a picture of everyone's
with
feet.
Sexy morning voice, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you're just not noticing. I want you to start paying attention. And then becoming super self-conscious and then really get in your head to the point where you're not able to actually be present and enjoy the date and then tell me how it goes.
No, I'm not going to be that occupied. I'm very in the moment. I want to go to the next category, which bothers me, actually.
Oh, you hate this one?
I don't love it. The one about lips parting and nose flaring, like a bull.
Yeah, but this is unconscious. This is like what your body does when you're attracted to someone.
I mean, would you be drawn to that? That's kind of like, I'd be like, is there something wrong with your nose? Are you asthmatic? I think
that it's so subtle.
Are you congested?
It's sort of like
so you're breathing out of your mouth.
It's like a natural smile, a natural flush, a natural lip parting, nose flare. I don't think it's like so dramatic. No,
I just don't think that's pleasant.
I would not be attracted to that.
I know. Why would you?
I'm pretty sure that's not what's
nose
happening.
Flaring. It speaks to me that someone might have emphysema and have a hard time.
Is this hot?
No. Nose flaring, that's what bulls do. I grew up on a beef farm.
Well, maybe some people are attracted to that. What if someone's like naturally showing desire in this very
and that's a
animalistic
nose flare
way?
Okay.
To each their own.
I guess.
And the very last one. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is just so obvious.
All right.
That basically, if someone is checking you out, if someone's checking you out, they're into you. The end. Unless they're checking you out and then you see like a grimace. Like, ugh.
Ooh. Yeah.
Let me guess,
course,
you don't
right?
agree.
Well, no.
Wow.
Well, I do oftentimes have alternative points of view, which I think are helpful for the purpose of pros and cons or debate. This is what I think about that. I agree with you overall. Like, if somebody's looking at my chest, I'm like, okay, they see it. All right.
Unless they're like grimacing. If they're just like, you can tell if someone's checking you out, I think.
I will say I was also on a date once, and when we got out of the restaurant, he actually put his hand up my shirt. And I'm like, oh, well,
that's a pretty good sign.
Well,
also, I would say read the room.
He also asked what car I drove, and
that.
so I found him pretentious and assumptive and entitled. It did not go well. We became friends, but we did not date anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So, and I'm okay with most of that if it's mutual, but I think that's a little forward for me. Like,
yeah, I think it's forward for most.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like, and by the way, I just want to say, if you're female and somebody puts their hand up your shirt on the sidewalk,
yeah,
I mean, really, boundary violation, right? Assault.
Oh yeah,
it's assault.
99.99999% of the time, that's just like really not cool, and that's why this whole episode is about reading the room and also reading yourself, paying attention. Like if some friends or some people have told you that you're unapproachable and you don't know why people feel that way, listen to all of these tips, right? This isn't just like, ooh, are they into me? It's like, oh my gosh, I do sit with my arms crossed and my, I look away and I'm not paying attention, or people have told me I'm hard to read, or I've got RBF, resting bitch face.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Or, I look unfriendly. Good to know, right?
Well, and this is what I would also say. So I appreciate what you just said. I want to go back to Amber for a second. Of course, at the end of the day, if you have any of these signs that are giving you some indication of what's going on, I would say check it out. Yeah. I think it's absolutely fair to say, so I'm kind of noticing some, chemistry going on here. I noticed some eye language going on.
Oh, eye language.
Would you like to go grab some coffee or a cocktail sometime? It's really fair to do that. And that can come from either gender. I also think that in all of these categories, I agree with you, Talia. I think the goal is to be as kind of present in the moment and be like, what vibe am I giving off? Do I have my arms folded? Yeah. Am I doing this?
That's right.
Like I'm really bored by the conversation.
Right. Right.
I do naturally play with my goatee a little bit, especially when it's longer. And then I pull it. So I mean, I think there's a lot going on here. And then again, the smile
not
is really
cute. That's not cute.
It's going to draw me in.
It just also makes me want to recommend. I can't recommend highly enough that if you have some
doing what Doug does.
Signature moves that you do on a date, maybe check in with a friend, or even better, do your signature moves in the mirror and check it out and see if you think you're hot.
I'm going to do that tonight with
think you should.
With my Pennywinkle.
Wise.
I don't remember. Pennywinkle wise.
You guys, per usual, we are so grateful for you, and thank you for putting us in so much better of a mood than we were when we got here.
I will say that's interesting, right?
Isn't
like we started this
interesting?
conversation.
Sour.
God, I don't even know that it was sour.
What was
it was worse. It was like
Fermented.
rancid,
Curled.
agitated. I did push-ups before the episode to get my endorphins going. I'm like,
you did.
Doug, focus. But I got to tell you, I love this conversation. And Amber, please let us know if you have any indication that you want to write in again and tell us how it went based on your initial impression. I would love to hear that. And again, if anybody has any other examples of this.
Yeah. Always write to us.
Yeah.
Contact at we'renotfine.com.
That's right.
And find us on Instagram.
Yep.
And we all literally desperate to hear from you. Send us. Oh my God. Yeah. And then people that weren't able to pronounce my name growing up in Minnesota, and like a teacher would be like, Talia. Not cute.
I'm thinking of all kinds of jokes that are really inappropriate.
Really? Because
like
you're
your
the
first
first.
name is Jenny.
Oh, that's hilarious. Never heard that before.
All right.
See you next week.
We are a little giddy today. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.
Bye.